I know I've turned into the typical YouTuber that drops a video on you once every month and a half, talking that rah-rah about, oh my God, I'm so sorry. You guys, I haven't uploaded in like a week or two. My bad. I used to always say that wasn't going to be my YouTube video intro. Like, I was never going to be like, hey, I'm sorry that I haven't uploaded in XYZ time because of XYZ reason, but it is what it is. It's your boy, Bryant, the Apex Gaming Channel. You know where you're at. You know what you came for. You know what you like to see. My numbers show that UFC fights on my channel do the best, and that's what y'all like to watch. But quite frankly, obviously, I haven't been playing the game. So that's why the video is titled the way it's titled. The Return, LEC fights, post UFC 227 talk. That's why it's labeled the way it's labeled. Because literally, I haven't played the game since you guys saw me play it live on stream. That was the last time I played it. And before that, I hadn't played it for weeks and weeks and weeks before that. So what you're seeing right now is fights from my LEC run, because I was on my PlayStation. I was playing some Fortnite. I got hit with a duck and roundhouse there. Not too pretty, but was playing some Fortnite with one of my partners on PlayStation, because I usually play on my PC. Obviously, I talked about that in a few videos that had been the move I had been making. So I have been playing on my PC for a while, and I'm gonna talk more about my experiences with the PC in the Fortnite in a different video, because got some words I would like to get up off my chest about that. But anyway, back to this UFC, this EA Sports UFC 3 LEC event right here. This is from my run as Dillashaw. I did 2 runs. I ain't gonna lie to you. I did one as Cody right off the rip. Didn't play no practice mode. Didn't fight the AI. Didn't play quick fight. Didn't play ranked. Picked the game up. If you saw my last stream, it was like 3 weeks ago. Sit that boy flying through the air. He tried to get fancy. He must have forgot. I mean, he must have forgot that this game, it ain't safe out here to do crazy stuff with people who got that sniper eye. It ain't safe, so I sent him flying. See, like I said, I hadn't played this since y'all saw me play it on stream. Hadn't touched it, hadn't thought about it, hadn't practiced it. I just so happened to be done playing Fortnite. I had played Fortnite from 10 till at this point it was like 6 o'clock. So the UFC prelims kicked off for 227. I'm gonna talk about that a little later in the video, but the prelims kicked off for 227, and I was like, whatever, man, I'll turn this on. And then I went to the live event tab. I saw that and I was like, okay, live event. They got a little competitive live event running right now, I guess, for the event. So I clicked it, and it was Dillashaw versus Garbrandt. So I was like, okay, that's cool. I would have liked to see Henry Cejudo versus Mighty Mouse, but I saw Dillashaw Garbrandt. I was like, whatever. It don't really matter with the way the live event is set up. It don't really matter who you are. You just end up with like slightly different weapons. So I wasn't really tripping. So I just grabbed it and go. Sat down on the sticks, picked it up. I was trying to see what these boys was hitting for, so I started off with Cody, and I think I might have captured one fight as Cody. Towards the end of the run as Cody, I caught one fight that I saved, but I was saving shit on my PlayStation because I wasn't capturing, because I was how I do it. I was in a party chat talking to one of my homies about fights, about the fight card coming up. We had just finished playing Fortnite, so we was just talking about life and shit, just talking about personal shit, whatever the fuck we was talking about. We was just in that thing running it, just talking about normal stuff. Because I don't be paying. Y'all already know. If y'all watch enough of my commentary in these games, I don't really even be thinking about the fight while the fight is going on. I don't even really be like, I don't focus when I play this game. I don't feel a need to focus when I play this game. It's not like I need to sit here and think constantly about what's happening on the screen. It's like it all comes natural, Fighting and combatants and just fighting games and mixed martial arts in general. It just comes natural because of my experience with the sport, my experience with the game. I mean, I've literally been watching mixed martial arts since the UFC, their inaugural, run, UFC 1. I watched it with my dad in the living room of my house when I lived in Pineville, Louisiana. I was no more than 4 years old. I'm 29 now. I'll be 30. Before you know it, I'll be 30. But like I said, I watched the original UFC event. I might have fell off the sport when I was like in between those ages of 4 and 13 or something. But, I jumped in and out when I was younger. And then 2008 was the jump off whenever UFC Undisputed 1 came out. 2009, That was the jump off. That was when I like really got back in the sport. Of course, I played some mixed martial arts games up until that point. Like I had a UFC game on my Game Boy Color, some stuff, you know, blah, blah, blah. That's a history lesson at this point. But what I'm trying to say is I have just a natural, I guess, affinity for fighting. I just have a natural love for it. So I kind of understand it. And my issue always comes the reason why I don't play as often is because when things become unnatural, when things become harder to predict and harder to calculate, my sense for doing things kind of falls off and wavers. My ability to just look at a situation and go, I know I can do X thing here because he's doing Y. But when X and Y don't line up with what reality is, it makes it harder for me to basically give a shit. Like you'll see throughout several of these fights, I'll throw a moving straight punch from about a step out. So in boxing, that's called one step out. So I'll throw a moving punch from a step out, and they'll throw a head kick. Oof, caught him, hit him over the head with a baseball bat. He tried to get fancy, and I had to K him up. You'll see it in one of the other fights, though. It happened in this fight once or twice, but because I'm recording the commentary, I'm vaguely watching my preview screen. I'm not like actually watching it. I'm just kind of like it's at a glance, you know. It's in the corner of my eye, sort of thing, on my monitor, my PC monitor, which somebody asked me in a video not that long ago. I'm gonna answer his comment. I just hadn't got around to it, but I use an Asus a VG24 GL or some crap like that. It's an Asus 144 hertz 1080p monitor. I use it for PC gaming. 144 hertz PC monitor with a 1 millisecond response time. None of that's relevant when you plug up the PlayStation to it. The PS4 Pro is 1080, 60, 100% of the time. And then you playing off the millisecond ping of whoever you playing with. So all that extra stuff, you know, buying a computer monitor to play your games ain't going to change your gameplay unless you were playing on a potato of a TV. If you were playing on a Walmart, Best Buy, you know, one of them Black Friday TVs, okay, you might have enough input lag to actually notably feel it in this game, but it's not like you popping on a PC game and you trying to quick twitch snipe somebody on Call of Duty or something on a PC. You know, you ain't gonna be out there really potatoing and really feeling it. So don't let nobody trick your mind into making you think that having a computer monitor is just instinctively better. Now the response time and the millisecond delay, input delay, that stuff changes, but there's no real way to measure that stuff. There's no tools that I can use physically that I own personally to measure how much input delay I have other than to record a video of my phone, you know, with my phone, of me pressing the button and how long it takes for the button to show up on screen. And then that all has to do not only with the controller lag to the console, that has to do with the input lag from what's on console to the screen, and also what to do with the amount of frames that each attack individualized takes. The only way to really test that is if you had something that was like a 3-frame attack. 3 frames is basically like 1/10 of a second. So if you had a 3-frame attack, that'd be the only true way to record a test of you pressing the button and the 3-frame attack coming up. And this game doesn't have anything that's that short of frame count. So I mean, if you got Street Fighter 5, you can pop that in, but Street Fighter 5 has a notable 5 millisecond delay for input delay. So a 3-second attack you won't see until 8 frames, or a 3-frame delay you won't see until 8 frames, which is about a little over 2/10 of a second. So realistically, you might see the person touch the button and then see the attack. It's not like you're gonna touch, wait a second, see the attack. It's not like that. And unless, like I said, unless your TV is just complete doo-doo, you're not gonna see nothing like that. But we out here. I'm still talking about just kind of rah-rah, giving you a feel for where I've been and whether or not I'll be returning to playing this game more often. Like I said, I have just a natural affinity for the fighting, and then when the fighting game kind of doesn't feel natural and there's elements that don't feel the way I'm accustomed to them feeling and don't line up with what my mind says, then they kind of just throw me off. Rocked him there with an uppercut. Or did he rock me with the uppercut? I don't know. It won't show my name. Oh, yeah, that was me. I'm on the red side. I'll be waiting for it to show my name on the HUD because sometimes I don't be knowing, especially when you're doing a mirror match, I don't be knowing who is who because everybody's fighting kind of looks similar. Everybody kind of plays this game in a similar fashion. So it's really hard to pick out who's doing what these days. Like when I first started playing the game, it was like, I don't know, it was a little bit more open-ended. A lot of things that work but then don't work now because of various reasons. If you keep up to date with the patches and keep up to date with what's changing in the patches, you know what things that changed. And, you know, there's a lot of things that I would argue against being changed that a lot of people probably favor because, I mean, I guess they just didn't do well against it. Like, they didn't have an answer for it. So they complained and complained. Look, that ankle pick, not powerful, not OP, never was. Wasn't the day of the ankle pick patch. Never was overpowered. I was able to stop every ankle pick that came at me. I've only been taken down by the ankle pick one time, and it was because I was throwing an overhand and he shot for the ankle pick. And I think that's like a new thing where if you're doing certain strikes moving forward and somebody doesn't take down from certain angles, there's some rules that now that you have to kind of abide to that make takedowns a little bit more successful, which I totally 100% agree with. I agree that takedowns should work differently in situations where balance becomes a factor. Like, that's just the most natural thing I can think of. If you're running forward like a bull throwing an overhand and I shoot for a double leg, I should be able to just get up underneath that punch, use your momentum against you, and bull you to the ground. Like, just use your momentum to lift you from your hips and yank your feet out from underneath you and slam you to the mat. Like, that's just like fighting one-on-one, using someone's momentum against them. That's judo, you know, rule of thumb. Like, use their energy against them. So I 100% agree with whatever rules are in place. I don't remember them. I don't remember them verbatim. Like, I'm not going to just be like out there gaming it. But like, if the rule makes sense for fighting, to me, this is the way I play. And I can't say this is the same for everybody. And I can't say this is true for everybody. But the way I play the game, if something works the way my mind perceives it should work, I don't have issue with it. But if something works in a different fashion, not wrong, not right, just different. Like, if something doesn't do what I naturally feel it should, that's when I take issue. That's when I like notice it. And that's when I'm like, ooh, that shouldn't have happened. Like, sometimes when you're trading hooks with somebody, if you throw a jab and then a hook, but they throw two hooks, their hook will overtake your jab and your hook. Even though you jabbed him and then hit him with a rear hook, if he throws the rear hook lead hook, it's like his rear hook hits you harder than your rear hook hit him, and then his lead hook knocks you to the ground. And my natural mind and knowing how I jab caught another dude trying to act crazy. They must have forgot. Like, I don't know. Like, my gamer tag hadn't changed. Like, they must have forgot. Like, they see my name and I don't know. But like I was talking about with the hook situation, like, if I jab you, I know for a fact that if I jab anybody, if I hit any one person with a jab, his head is going to go back. His face is going to go in some direction. And his hook is going to lose a lot of his lust. It's going to lose that vigor. Because I don't jab to touch you. I touch jab, yes, when I'm sparring people I'm not trying to hurt. And when we're in a touch spar situation and we're just sparring for energy, we're just working, just getting work. I touch jab. But if I see someone raring to throw a combination at me and I stick them, I know for a fact from sparring and from boxing with pro-level boxers and pro-level mixed martial artists, I know for a fact that my jab is going to be authoritative. It's going to dictate your next action. Largely, it's going to dictate which way your head moves, which way your punch moves, and how much sting is on your punch. I've dropped guys with jabs. I've dropped people with jabs to the body. I just know where my jab is in context to what is effective against people in certain situations. Like, of course, I've been outboxed. Duh. Like, I've been out-wrestled. Duh. I've been out-grappled. Duh. I've been hit with kicks, body knees, head kicks, all of that. Like, all of those things have happened. So I kind of have a feel for how things play out. I've never been knocked unconscious. I've been buzzed, maybe. Like, I got hit in the ear once and I felt kind of weebly-wobbly, but my knees didn't change. My feet didn't change. My perception of what was happening in the moment didn't change. And the way I approached the next exchange didn't change. I came at him full force. He might have stole off on my ear and gave me cauliflower ear because he punched me upside the head and didn't aim for my chin at all, was aiming for my ear. Yeah, okay, cool. He hit me in the ear, but he ate a jab right after, and he ate a hook, and then I rocked him with a straight. So, I mean, it is what it is. Like, I have an understanding of how this stuff plays out, and I know for a fact that if I jab someone, he's not going to power up and hit me with two hooks. It has never happened to date. I've hit some guys with jabs that have taken them better than others, and I've hit some guys with jabs that have absolutely got destroyed. But, like I said, if we're in an exchange and I hit you with a jab and a rear hook, I'm expecting my jab to deviate whatever you're throwing unless you take that jab and you roll with it and you try to get out of that exchange because you're not going to exchange with me off of my jab. It just doesn't happen. That's kind of the point of the jab. I mean, I've trained with guys who are flyweights, basically. and at the end of a round, they can't hit me, and they're like, man, you're good behind that jab. I'm faster than you, but I couldn't get to you because your jab. And then I've had bantamweights, flyweights, like 135 pounders, and this is when I was 260, 250, trying to get down to 205, like trying to get down to like a manageable weight before I could even try to enter active competition. And these guys couldn't catch me, couldn't hit me, couldn't find me. You know, I have an understanding for how defense and how fighting works that supersede my ability to manage those and do those in the video game, obviously, because the video game is very limited and things that have changed have limited it. But when it first came out, it did feel more natural to my sensibilities, and that's why I haven't been playing the game as often. So do that what you will. Maybe I'll play it more. These fights, if these fights are any indication of where my skill lies, use that information how you do. I mean, none of this stuff matters to me. As I said, I don't even be paying attention half the time when I'm playing. I be on communicator or chat, like not chat, communicator, like talking like I'm using Discord, man. I be on my party chat. I think that's what it's called on PlayStation. It's not Skype, not Discord. I be on the party chat on PS4 Pro, whatever, Xbox. Sometimes I'll be on my phone. It really just, I'll be talking to other people about things that are completely separated from the fight. And it might be a brief moment where I pause in my dialogue while I'm communicating. Y'all see my gameplays, man. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Like, y'all know how I am when I'm playing. And that's how I'm playing like 80% of the time when I play this game. Like, I'm completely, like, almost lucid. Like, I'm barely paying attention. And it's just because I have an affinity for it. I'm barely paying attention. But like I said, if some people really hit me up on the comment section, be like, "What's your rank? You know, where you at on this, blah 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 blah." I'm like, yeah, blah blah. I don't know what that has to do with your enjoyment of the content. Like, I'll never understand what my rank has to do with your ability to enjoy what you saw. I mean, if a movie scored bad on Rotten Tomatoes but is a good movie, it shouldn't change how you view the movie. Your opinion shouldn't be dictated to you by some arbitrary stat that someone else gave something. You should be able to make a decision for yourself whether or not you like or don't like something. Killing this guy, mauling him, doing him dirty. But anyway, I don't even think I gave you all the numbers for my runs. So, okay, I did a run with Cody Garbrandt first. Wasn't recording. I was just talking, and my partner was like, towards the end of that run, he was like, "Man, you should record them fights and use that as your video because I know you hadn't uploaded them forever." So I was like, you right. In my mind, I was like, I don't really care. But he was like, yeah, you should record that. I was like, man, you right. So I started recording, caught like 1 or 2 fights as Cody. I was at the tail end of my run. I was like 5. I went 6-3 with Cody. 6-3, not the worst thing in the world. I mean, my rank on the side of my name says pro, and it floats between pro and elite. So I play against people who are also pro and elite. I don't play against amateurs or whatever the other classes are. So I play against pro and elite players when I play this because I haven't played ranked this season, and I haven't played what's that other mode? I haven't played any modes. So any rank I earned in like the first fight. My first placement fight for the LEC. So my first match probably put me up to pro because I beat the dude in like 40 seconds. So whatever. I play against people that are considered better players. So whatever. Fighting the better players in the game. And I put quotations on that because, you know, it's like I said, it's all just relative. But so, you know, my first run was with Cody and I went 6-3. So the last fight I recorded with Cody was my 5-2 win or to get me to 6. And in my very next fight, I lost to a guy named Decimate, who did not decimate. He just stood in front of me and turtled and held high block and spammed jab, uppercut, hook until eventually one of us couldn't block anymore, and that one of us was me, and we were just standing in the pocket trading jab, uppercut, hooks. Like I said, inside fighting is my kind of – I love inside fighting, but inside fighting in this and inside fighting in real life are two totally different animals. But it is what it is. So Decimate gave me my third loss. And I had that video, but that video is, like I said, I would never upload something that's just outright boring. Just me standing in front of a guy, him standing an inch away from me, not giving up space, not taking a step backwards, not using movement or any sort of adjustment to make this happen. And he's just standing in front of me throwing uppercut, hook, uppercut, hook, uppercut, hook, jab, uppercut, hook, uppercut, hook. It's like, come on, man. Like, whatever. that's how you get your jollies, partner. Whatever. But he was a good player, I guess. You know, he probably put a lot of other people he would have put down quicker. Put it like that. So he probably finds success in what he does, and he might have really capped on a lot of people just because that style works against a lot of people because they are willing to back down, willing to concede. You know, you're gonna have to take me out. I don't concede to nothing. You're gonna have to take me out. I'm gonna fight you until the very last second. You know, I'm gonna fight you until my character can't fight you no more, until he lays down. Like that's just me all day. But I went 6-3 with Cody, and one of those fights made it to the video. It hadn't showed up yet. It's like the last fight of the video. That'll be my last fight as Cody. But I went 10-2 as Dillashaw. And I didn't record all of those because some of those weren't impressive. Some of those didn't even have fancy finishes. I mean, they all were finished in the first round, but none of those had anything like fancy finish. So I think that's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 Dillashaw videos out of the 10 wins. The 2 losses. I don't remember who I lost in the 2 losses. I don't remember how I lost in the 2 losses. Honestly, I don't remember if I wrestled one guy, but I don't know how long we wrestled, and it didn't end on the ground that I remember. But like I said, I don't be paying all the way attention. And I lost some of the videos because I clipped. This is on PlayStation, so sometimes I trim the videos within the video on PlayStation, and I don't make sure I trimmed all the fights I wanted out. So sometimes I keep a fight that I didn't want by accident because I trimmed to the last fight, and sometimes I lose a fight that I wanted by accident because, once again, I trimmed to the last fight. So take that what you will, but I don't often record straight to my PlayStation. It just happened to be that was the situation. So, because like I said, I explained that all a second ago. But anyway, so we're rounding off to the end of the last 2 fights of the video. I wanted to talk a little bit more. I wanted to explain to you guys where I've been, what I've been doing, and what my mind's been, and how I've been feeling about playing UFC and why I haven't been playing it, and why maybe I would start playing it again for some videos here and there. But it's like I'm not gonna hold myself to something that I can't be honest. I can't honestly say that I'm gonna play it that often because like I'm always playing something else. I'm always playing Fortnite or Power Rangers Legacy War on my cell phone. Like I do other things, man. If y'all don't know by now, I'm a multifaceted guy. Like I don't just sit here all the time and play UFC. That's not what I do. Like I'm a musician. I'm a boyfriend. You know, I wear a lot of hats, man. I wear a lot of hats. You know, I work a job that I sometimes enjoy, sometimes overwork myself at, you know. So sometimes I work 60 hours, sometimes I work 82 hours. It really just depends. Like I'm talking a week, you know. So sometimes I'm just not physically home to play a video game, so it just happens. But that's pretty much all I wanted to say about all that stuff. Last night we got to see UFC 227. A lot of people probably not happy that Demetrius Johnson lost by a split decision, but titles have changed hands by split decisions before. It's not in the rules or the etiquette code of judging that a decision can't be made for a championship fight based around performance, and it has to be the champion being starched, rolled, or completely KO'd. It does not. That is not a thing. Like, just so you know, that does not exist. There is no rule that says that. So if anybody told you there's a rule that says that, they got to beat the champ to be the champ. You beat the champ when you outscore them, you outpoint them, you outfight them, you make them have to dig deep, and they have to answer to what you're doing. That's when you beat the champ, when you make them have to make adjustments. It's the same thing as when you beat a non-champ. You have to make them make adjustments. Even if the fight isn't crazy and balls to the wall, people getting KO'd, it's still a fight, and there's still a lot of things that a lot of people just don't get about fighting. The same thing that happened with the Rose Namajunas, fucking Johanna Jędrzejczyk fight. A lot of people want to say, oh, she ain't beat the champ. Rose was hitting her harder. Well, Rose was also getting hit more times, more often. Leg kicks aren't scored correctly. Demetrius Johnson said it too. But man, I'm just buzzing with that kick. Demetrius Johnson said it too. Leg kicks just aren't scored right. Like they're not scored the way they should be. Like either they have too little effect or too much of effect. It's like sometimes it's just inconsistent. Pretty much that's what most people, the general consensus for leg kicks is that they're just scored inconsistently. Like fights like where Demetrius Johnson's making Cejudo fall off his feet, or what's his name? It was earlier on the card. Pedro Munoz was fighting. I don't remember when, it doesn't matter. But Pedro Munoz was fighting in a bantamweight fight against a guy who finished Joe Soto with an ankle pick. Not an ankle pick. What's it called? A calf slicer. I'll remember his name when it doesn't matter. But he was tagging him with leg kicks, knocking him off his feet, leg rocking him like a video game. I'm pretty sure that played a part in the way the fight was scored because it was a noticeable effect. And the Johanna Jędrzejczyk fight, she was hit with strikes by Rose, but if you let Joe Rogan tell it, she was getting rocked and sent all over the ring, and her head was bobbling in every direction. I didn't see that, and I watched it without commentary. I had the commentary completely on mute when I saw that fight, and what I saw was it looked like Johanna versus Kowalkiewicz. And a little bit, and not even as emphatic, because when Kowalkiewicz rocked her in the fourth, she was notably gone. Like, she had to gather herself. And then when she gathered herself, she came right back with a vengeance and kept doing what she was doing to be successful. He knocked me down there. Good work. He about to sit here in my stack guard and just try to game me up. Video game me to death from stack guard. It is what it is. You got to do what you got to do to get them W's. You heard, man. I think the man I'm fighting in this fight placed third in the LEC, so, you know. I'm not a clout chaser, but things happen to people, to good people. Bad things happen to good people all the time. Put it like that, man. Put it like that. But anyway, I don't agree with that decision. I think if Johanna was champion in that fight, they would have scored the fight for Johanna. Just to be frank. To be absolutely transparent, if the title was on the opposite side, the fight would have been scored opposite of the way it was scored. And that's fact. I've seen several championship fights where the champion is struggling to rise to the challenge and the challenger is all over them. But just sheerly them being a champion and them showing championship medal, the fight is awarded to them. First fight that comes to mind, Lyoto Machida versus Chris Weidman. Chris Weidman controlled the first round by holding him in a takedown position. Rah-rah. He controlled the second round by controlling the space and threatening the takedown attempt, but never got it. Whoop-de-doo. Third round, he was doing good for the first 2 minutes. Pen arose on his nose, and then Lyoto Machida turned it up from midway of the third round. And the moment he slowed down, and was where he lost the fight, was when he slowed down towards the end of the fifth round and just let off the gas because he assumed that rounds 3 through 5 were his, and he kind of let off the gas. If he wouldn't have let off the gas, I could see the argument where it would be more definitive that he should have had the win in that fight because he put the pace on him, landed more strikes, landed better strikes, and was more vigilant about trying to hurt his opponent. He was actually out there trying to win the fight. But Chris Weidman got the decision. Same thing happened with Robbie Lawler, Carlos Condit. Robbie Lawler, the champion, technically lost the fight by all statistical purposes, but some abstract thing that we can't factor because we don't have there's no way to understand power and how much something affected someone. If you don't see a noticeable effect in their game, it didn't affect them. If they didn't stop striking, lay down, they weren't affected the way you think they were affected. Your perception of damage is indicative of your inability to make an actual rational decision around how things should happen and how things should be scored. And it's not a knock on anyone who scores fight, and it's not me knocking on anyone who, watches the sport and doesn't know much about what's going on. It's just overall, conclusively, the entire helm of the sport, they kind of favor the story. Let's be honest. When Dan Henderson should have beaten Michael Bisping, it was a better story that Michael Bisping persevered and that Dan Henderson went out on a good fight, but not a championship win. It just didn't fit the narrative. And sometimes people in this sport, even the reporters who you trust, kind of lean towards the narrative. And that's just got to stop. And another thing that's got to stop is what happened in the main event. TJ Dillashaw. At this point, I have no gameplay to show you because that's all the fights, and I just happened to talk longer than I expected to. But TJ Dillashaw not only decimated Cody Garbrandt, but probably done irreparable damage to his ability to take damage. I mean, he not only stunned him, buzzed him, dropped him, pieced him up with combinations, kneed him in the chin, and then continued to bludgeon him as he was standing. That's a young guy, a young father, a young husband. He took a lot of punishment, a lot of unnecessary punishment after coming off of a knockout loss. Because fans of this sport have a hunger to see their champions refight the person that just dethroned them. And I just don't get it. I don't get it. I can't name and point down one time that a champion in the UFC, maybe in some boxing promotions, maybe in some lower level MMA promotions, maybe even in Bellator, but I can't remember a time in the UFC that a immediate rematch was called for on the podium of the post-fight press conference and granted, and that champion came back and reclaimed. I can't remember a time. If you know in the comment section, please, by all means, correct my ignorance, because I cannot point to a time that a champion came back and reclaimed. The closest Johanna almost reclaimed. If she would have been the first that I can notably say this champion came back immediately after getting rolled, completely rolled, legs over the head, rolled. You know, your girlfriend on a bad night after alcohol, rolled. Your girlfriend after y'all left the club, rolled. Like I'm saying, like after you've done serious damage, rolled over, come back and take the title back from the challenger. I have never seen it. And people have a hunger for it. Stipe calling for a rematch. Bro, you got rolled by the light heavyweight champion. You got rolled. Take a tune-up fight. It is better for your career. Fight someone else. Get a win. Maybe fight two people. Get 2 wins. It does not look good when you come back and take a second loss. It just outright doesn't. It looks horrible on you. It looks so much worse when you come back and take a second loss to a champion, and now you have to fight someone else, and you're in a no-lose situation. You cannot lose that next fight. To be 3 out in MMA, people say losses don't affect your career as much as they do in boxing. To be 3 out in MMA, you are essentially written off. Completely. You don't exist. Your ability to say what you deserve and what you want does not exist anymore. Anderson Silva, if he were to say right now, I feel like I deserve a title shot, you're going to look at him, laugh at him, and point to his record. If he said that after the 2 Weidman losses, you're going to look at him, laugh at him, and point to his record. If Demetrius Johnson rematches Henry Cejudo and by some crazy turn of events gets KO'd, now he's got 2 losses, and now he's got to fight someone else. He has to win. Stop doing it. Stop doing it. Stop egging people on when they say they want that immediate rematch. Stop doing it. Deserved. You don't deserve to have 2 losses on your record and be looking down the barrel of 3 losses back to back. You don't deserve to put yourself in that situation. Just take a fight between that fight, get your bearings, get your win. Look at Jose Aldo crying in the octagon when he got that knockout win to the body over Jeremy Stevens. Crying in the octagon because in his mind, the greatest featherweight of probably our generation, he just happened to run into a young gun who had the heat and was able to affect his mind in a way that put enough doubt in his mind to make him think that he wasn't. And then he ran into Max Holloway, who just technically outmanned him, outgassed him, and just outmanned him. Someone who would have beat him anyway, but he would have taken that loss a lot better if he hadn't got dropped in, 16 seconds or whatever it was, 6 seconds, 16 seconds. It was something. If he hadn't got KO'd the way he got KO'd, those Max Holloway losses wouldn't have affected him the way they affected him. He wouldn't have been as, it wouldn't have put him in the situation that it put him in, put it like that. But it's these guys that are willing and outright demanding to fight the newly crowned champion immediately while they're on a high. Somebody in my Discord, which I have a Discord so we can talk about fights and stuff. Somebody in my Discord said that I think he said Lyoto Hua might have been the same situation, but I'm pretty sure Lyoto fought Hua after he beat Rashad for the title, barely eked out a decision, and then fought him again and got flattened. That's different. That's not the same situation. Now, if Lyoto would have fought Hua again and got flattened again, like I said, he'd have been 2 down, looking down the barrel of another loss potentially. I mean, it's 50-50 with a fight. It's not 60-40 no matter what your skill is. It's 50-50. Anything can happen. Michael Chandler found that out in Bellator. He went out there to fight some guy at the Bellator 200 pay-per-view and rolled his ankle and just couldn't walk on it anymore and ended up losing his title. It's 50-50. He's a better fighter than that guy, but it's 50-50. Anything could happen. Anything could happen. It's a fight. But stop egging these champions on when they lose and they just have to get that belt back. I know it does directly affect their bottom dollar. It affects their drawing power. It affects their legacy. It affects everything. It affects their money. It affects their confidence. But most importantly, not taking that fight between, it affects them in a way that they just don't seem to have the foresight for. It doesn't look good to be 2 down It just doesn't. And it won't even look good unless you go out and beat the other person the way they beat you. If Stipe fought DC and KO'd DC violently, okay, cool, whatever. You KO'd me, I KO'd you, whatever. But if he goes out there, fights DC for 5 rounds and edges out a decision, people are going to have a hunger for the rematch. It's like, stop. There's so many fighters in this sport, so many young fighters coming up, so many people right underneath you. Fight someone else. Just get another fight under your belt, get a win under your belt, get your confidence back, keep your money up, because you do lose money by losing fights. You might get more money to fight the champion, but if you're only getting half that money, does it sound valuable? I mean, take a fight for $1 million, take a fight for possibly $2 million. You still come out with $1 million, but now you come out with $1 million and a loss. So your next fight ain't gonna be for $1 million. Put it like that. It's just food for thought. I'm a fan of the sport, like I said early in the video. I'm a lifelong fan of the sport. Literally the almost life of the sport as far as the American viewing ability of mixed martial arts. I've literally been a fan this entire time. I might have missed, like I said, events between the ages of 5 and 14, 13, or whatever numbers I used, because I did see the original UFC. I'm 29, so I had to be 4 going on 5 when that happened. My dad watched it on pay-per-view and he let us watch it. We sat and watched Royce Gracie dominate people on the ground. That gave my dad so much hope for smaller guys. You know, he felt like, you know, his 5'7" was good enough to really threaten somebody after that. He felt like he was going to be the man after that. But that's all I wanted to say. Hopefully I find some gameplay to cover this dead air. Don't know what that would be. Maybe, I don't know. I'll throw something over the dead air just to keep you guys entertained. But, you know, I just wanted to have a longer discussion with you guys and kind of show you where I'm at, show you what my mind is, show you what I'm thinking, feeling, how I'm getting down, how I'm living, you know. Still here on the channel, still doing what I can to provide you with content. Just not as frequent. I mean, it just is what it is. It is what it is. You know, it's only been 5 months that I haven't been uploading on a regular schedule. I say only 5 months, like that's a day, but you get my drift. You know what I mean? Like, it's been 5 months, but before that I was uploading pretty constantly. But when I find peaks of time and slithers of information that I want to relay, or fights or whatever I think that I want to upload, just let me know what you want to see. I've had ideas for things I can do for even when I don't have time to get gameplay myself. Maybe demo some of you guys' matches between each other, react to some fights, react to some things, you know, whatever. But I want to get a live stream jumping. That way y'all can be more in touch with me and more in communication with me. I want to get that popping. You feel me? And we'll go from there. But it's been Bryant, the Apex Gaming Channel. Hopefully I find something to cover this dead air. If I don't, hopefully you stick around. Hopefully you come for the content that I provide and not so much the fights that I provide, if that makes sense. Hopefully you like the person, not the video. I mean, not the gameplay. The person is what's most important when you follow an uploader. That's who you come for. They're the ones generating the content. So hopefully that's the audience I've garnered through this time. And it feels like that sometimes. It feels like the guys that really ride for me. I see y'all in the comment section more than once. I see your names. I recognize you. Y'all come back. Y'all hit me up. Y'all friend me on PlayStation. Some of y'all friend me on my Epic Games accounts. I'm very transparent. I'm very open. I'm here for the people. So I'm going to do what I can. But until then, see you on the next one. Peace out. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. You feel me? Peace.